Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're just starting up with a few people joining us at the moment, but just wanted to welcome you in. Thank you for being on time.
You're a
And
great example.
totally. And I guess a good way of really beginning, I suppose, would be to introduce yourself. Some of you will know myself, and some of you will know Lauren. So, Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself to begin with, or vice versa? I don't
Sure,
know.
I'll go ahead. So can you pin me?
I don't need to do that right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. You'll hear Fire Tree and I going back and forth a bit. That's part of the fun and the experience. So hi everyone. I'm Lauren. My name is Lauren Fryman, and I have been on a quest since I was, well, really since I was born, but most especially since I was in my early 20s, for understanding the nature of my true self. And I have sought that through many different directions. Um, One of the main ones was through meditation. I meditated very intensely under my teacher, Mark Griffin, for 15 years. I held a daily practice. I've had a daily practice for 17 years. And my practice is rooted in, hi, Laura. My practice is rooted in Kashmir Shaivism and Tibetan Buddhism. Other avenues that I have studied and now work in professionally as yoga. I'm a forest yoga teacher. I am a transformational life coach, and I'm an acupuncturist. I practice a specific form of acupuncture called classical Chinese medicine. And I've now shifted my work to weaving all of these aspects of myself together, as you can tell by this event that Fire Tree and I are putting on today. Oh, I'm so happy to be here with you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah.
It would really help us, I feel, if you could turn on your videos so we can kind of feel like we're coming into more of a circle together. Because I know that Lauren and I are kind of looking at each other, and we're at the moment looking at a lot of blankness. There's no gallery view of seeing anybody's faces. So it's quite hard for us
Oh,
to
thank
kind
you
of like,
so much.
yay, thank you.
I think that's part of why I was stumbling a little bit through my introduction, is because I couldn't see anybody, and it was like I can't see people's eyes or how they're responding to me. So thank you for showing up.
um, so I'm Fire Tree, and I too have been probably on a journey more consciously for the past 20 years, beginning with more ritual, Celtic ritual, and then about 15 years, I would say, ago, I began as well with the Buddhist lineage as well. Originally began with Zen Buddhism and gradually moved towards more Tibetan Buddhism because there's a lot of connection between Tibetan Buddhism and, I guess, shamanic way as well. So it fitted in very nicely. And have weaved in a lot of different paths and different lineages in together, from my Celtic lineage right through to working with plant medicines, both here in Scotland, where I'm based in Ireland, and in South America as well. So weaving in those traditions as well as, I would say, kind of mystery school way of teaching as well, of of bringing in, because I always say there's your blood lineage and then there's also your spiritual lineage. So I bring in a number of spiritual lineages as well, as connecting in with my ancestral lineage. So what that can bring is a lot of sacred sound. There's also a lot of movement, because I'm also a forest yoga teacher as well, and have worked somatically for a very long time, because I found through my own personal experience of balancing the nervous system has been through sound, movement, and meditation as well. So that's where there's lots of different goodies that I would say that myself and Lauren carry, both in very similar ways and also in quite different ways. And one thing that I'm really, really passionate about is also about honoring the rites of passage right through from birth, and life and into death. That's all about our soul's evolution and human evolution, and reclaiming those aspects in our modern day culture, that we have simply forgotten, and we just need to remember. It's not lost, it's just temporarily forgotten. And so hopefully some of that will come through, in this time as well, whether it's verbally expressed or more a lot of what I express is through transmission of just being here with you. So I hope that comes through quite naturally. And Lauren, shall we talk a little bit about why we're
Why would
here, coming together and offering this webinar together, and this theme of the roller coaster, from the roller coaster to liberation?
Yes, yes. Fire Tree and I were reflecting on the year 2020 and how this has been the ultimate roller coaster, and people are being faced with challenges in their life, a lot of emotional upheaval coming as a result of those challenges, a part of it, and really needing a space to go in, to connect with self, to calm your nervous system, and really learn these tools that can support you through riding these waves that come into our lives with more joy and grace and ease, fun, and being able to perceive the twists and turns as learnings. Like, you can, because your nervous system is in a place of ease and a place of calm in the moment, when things come in and hit you and you get these twists and turns in life, you can ride the waves and you can uptake the medicine. I like to call lessons medicine. You can uptake the medicine from anything that comes your way.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess for us as well, um, what we've both realized is how much we have in common, so much like how our lives, although very different, have similar kind of themes going on. Like right now, like Lauren's just clearing out her office space and I'm clearing out my house because we're just about to move, and things like that running parallel together all the time. And we've kind of been supporting each other through that, and realizing as well that a lot of what we've experienced in life has all been training for what is happening in this time of transition for humanity. That this was what it was all about from very young, childhood experiences. Like we've even experienced similar things that we thought that other people hadn't. And maybe we'll share about that another time. But just one little key would be, I used to have these kind of fainting fits, and Lauren had these like epileptic fits as well. And we were kind of like connecting this into what was going on for us emotionally at that time, as well as actually it can also be a sign of the awakening process as well, and moving into different levels of consciousness. And these little things that sometimes we only think is just our own experience, we have found, between ourselves, that we've very, very shared experiences in that, which have really meant that from a very young age we've built up this toolbox, or I like to call it a wicker basket, of practices and ways of approaching life's challenges, and that that we're going to be challenged right through our entire human lifetime. So we may as well embrace those ebbs and flows, like Lauren was saying, whether we're having an ebb or a flow, that it just that is. One of the favorite sayings I have is that isness, that it just isness. So it's not getting caught up in either one of them. Or another way of putting it as well is, like, if you're looking at a musical composition, that you're not caught up in the dong or the ding or the grief and the joy, that it's all just one or the other, and they all feed off each other, and it's a continuous flow, which is life. And so the more that you allow that music, that life, to express itself through you, the more grace, the more ease you will find, and the more liberation that you will find in moving through. So it means that your approach and your perceptions to these things really, really changes. And some of that will be on the mind level, some of it will be in a body level, some of it will be at a soul level, and some of it, like what we'll probably be really focusing on a lot, is addressing it at the nervous system level. So that we can actually find ways of releasing charge from the nervous system and allowing ourselves to become more resilient as well, so that we're less thrown off, if you will, like if you think of the ship in the sea, just more balanced and more able to go with it, rather than being shaken about so much, like in the roller coaster.
Can anybody resonate with what Fire Tree and I are describing? Like, hands? Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, that's so. So yeah, both of us have found in our own lives and our own experiences that the foundation is really calming your nervous system and having all of these practices really anchored into your toolbox so that you can pull them out. You're ideally using them on a daily basis, but most especially when things get tough and when you need them. So we want to give you great. I'm seeing the comments from Robbie. Glad you're coming along. So we want to give you an experience of this today. So let's, I just want to lay out the format for a moment here. We're going to be now moving into meditation, and a fairly short meditation for those of you who have not done too much before, and then some sound healing, followed by a satsang question and answer, where Fire Tree and I would like to engage you more on these topics that we've been talking about and start a conversation. And then we'll wrap up. So it looks like there's a couple of you that I see that are ready to go into meditation. So let's do that together. And anybody else who's on is welcome to join as soon as you're situated in a comfortable seat. So that's just that's Tasha and Laura right now. Gonna plug in, okay, real quick. Yeah. So go ahead, and I'm just gonna wait about 1 minute. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so go ahead and get set up on your seat. And the first thing that I want to teach you is the diaphragmatic breath. This is a foundational tool for calming the nervous system, but it's also a foundation of meditation, how you begin to really move deep in your meditation practice. So everyone, go ahead and take your hand and place it on your diaphragm, your solar plexus. And as you inhale, feel for your belly expanding outwards against your hand. So you're filling your belly up like a balloon. And then as you exhale, Belly recedes in towards the spine. Keep going. Inhale. Expand your belly. Really fill it up. And then exhale out through the mouth. Belly pulls in towards the spine. Keep going. Move your breath in and out of your belly, nice and slow. Feel for elongating your inhales, elongating the exhales. And just take a moment, keep going, just take a moment and notice, how do I feel different with just about 5 breaths, 5 belly breaths here? Just notice your body, your mind, your emotions. What's shifting? And exhale everything out. On your next breath, fill up your belly. And then at the top of the inhale, hold your breath for just a count. Let your mind rest in that space. And then go ahead and exhale everything out. And again, let's repeat that. Big inhale and then hold at the top for just 1 or 2 seconds. Notice how your mind slows down in the space between the breaths. And it's a gateway, a portal to more stillness, more quiet. Continue breathing in this way, holding the breath for just 1 or 2 counts, either between the inhale and the exhale, or the exhale and the inhale. And you're welcome to release your hand now. As you allow your mind to rest in that space between the breaths, just notice what happens. As we begin our meditation here, everyone feel for relaxing your body. Let your shoulders relax, your arms, your neck, your hips, your jaw. Releasing any extra tension you're holding just to sit upright like this. Everyone, give rise to love. Feel your heart expanding, opening. Taking a moment to connect to gratitude. The heart is the point of connection between your four bodies, your physical body, your energy body, your mental body, and your atmic body, that divine body that is pure consciousness, pure spirit. So when you give rise to love, you're integrating all of these parts of yourself together. I'll be meditating in this way for about 10 to 15 minutes. Gently focus your attention on the space between the breaths. And if you notice that your mind starts wandering, just bring it back. Restart the belly breathing that we did in the beginning and bring it back to the space between the breaths. Let's begin. If you notice that you're thinking, bring your focus back to the space between the breaths, working with the belly breath and holding for just a moment between the breaths. As you feel more and more stillness inside, lean into the stillness. Focus on the stillness more than the thoughts bubbling on the surface. Anytime you need to come back to the bellows breath, belly breath, inhaling and exhaling from the belly. Remember the space between the breaths. This space is your gateway to a more subtle level of attention. Feel for gently resting your mind, your attention in that space as you pause. You'll notice as you're meditating that your attention will take two different presentations. One is concentration. This is called dharana. And that's when your mind feels quite focused, like as in space between the breaths. And then the other is called dhyana, which translates as meditation. And that's when your mind becomes expansive and you feel this spacious, expansive quality all within you and without you. Both of these are part of your meditation practice. You'll notice that as you tune into the dhyana, that expansive quality of the mind, where it feels like your mind feels like infinite space. Feel energy percolating all through your body. And you can touch this quality of liberation inside. Liberation that is already present within you as you. Om. Dedication. At the end of every practice, like to dedicate the practice for the sake of all sentient beings. Taking a moment of gratitude for your teachers, for the practice, for anyone and anything that you're grateful for, saying thank you. So everyone, take a moment of dedication here. Coming out of your practice, go ahead and open your eyes. And take a couple of breaths, just breathing naturally, reintegrating with the outside world. Just checking in with yourself. How did that feel? How do you feel different now than when we started? That was a little less than 15 minutes. It's so important with all of these practices to have a moment afterwards where you're taking stock, like, what exactly does this do for me? That helps you know when to use which tool in your toolbox, amongst other things. So Fire Tree is going to move us into our next practice now. I have a feeling everybody is going to be in Shavasana by the end of this.
Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Mm.
I always work with people that are appearing and the energy that is here for us in this circle. And it was going to go one of two ways where I would share with you a sounding practice of toning. But I think I'll park that for another time. It feels more of really a guiding into a more heart opening sounding.
Mm.
So I will begin to make some sound, and I very much encourage you to allow whatever sound may emerge from within you to move. So you can continue with that practice if you will as well that Lauren shared with you regarding the breathing and the space in between. And let's take that time to honour this space in between the breaths, in between the sounds, and allowing that to emerge very naturally from there. So the sound of is a sound that emerges from the silence. So we'll begin there and then see what emerges. So you'll see me disappear because my singing bowl is somewhere else. But I'll come back. So if you want to find yourself, keep yourself in a relaxed seated position if that works for you, or indeed you can lie down as well. And it'll be about 15-20 minutes, something like that. So what is most nourishing for you right now and for your nervous system, and go with that. Ay, Aisha, ay, Aisha, ay, Aisha, ay, Aisha, Grayahin, Grayahin, just allow yourself the gift of honoring whatever it is that you're feeling in this moment, whatever it is that has moved through you beyond the mind and into the heart. Connecting you to this universal love and this greater intelligence that embraces it all, that loves it all, that liberates it all. When you're ready in your own time, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes, bringing a little bit of stretching and movement into the body. Being aware of the sounds around you, the space that you're in, taste in your mouth. Smell of the air. And you can return to the screen when it feels right for you. Just allow your eyes to gently open up. and allow the light to come back in. And always, just like Lauren was saying earlier, it's always really important to honor these transitions from one state to another. This is part of taking care of the nervous system and being able to keep that space that we've created inside ourselves to emerge into life, into the outside world with grace and with ease and with pleasure. I would love to share some movement with you, but I feel like right now would be a really good time to share some satsang, some question and answer, and certainly once Lauren and I get started, we have lots and lots to share. But I would really, really love to hear from you if there's any particular questions that you feel have come up during the session, or you have found something that is emerging within you. And it's not that we necessarily have the answers. It's just about inquiring together in that. And that just allows a beautiful unfolding. That often one question that one person has is something that's it opens up the doorway for exploration together as a group, because we always come in here, and although we are one in terms of the collective, we also have these individual angles into things as well, which is what makes life so interesting with all the different possibilities. So you can type it in the chat box, or preferably if you really feel it's really nice to use the raise hand function. So what you can do, if you go on to the participants, is it? And then you can, there is a little function there. I saw it earlier anyway. It's not showing up on my screen now. But let's see.
I think it's maybe because you're the host right now, because I see it on my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can raise your hand.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear anyone's voice, especially after that sound healing that I really felt in my heart and my throat. If anybody feels so inclined, or the chat box is good too, whatever feels right.
And what's beautiful sometimes is also that sometimes coming out of meditation, or coming out of such a healing journey, if you will, that there's actually a lot of nothingness.
Yeah.
That's great too. A lot of delight. And I guess, yeah, that's part of this path to liberation, is embracing the nothingness, embracing that not knowingness.
Yeah.
Rather than, such a society at the moment, and more now than ever. Even I was speaking to Lauren earlier on and was saying, I'm thinking of really completely trying to step away from social media, because it's just got even more noisy than normal. So with a society at the moment that has a lot of distraction and a lot of mind chatter, and it's a bit of a barrage on our nervous systems, as well as a barrage on our consciousness. So that's kind of two aspects that Lauren and I have really been looking at over this past while is of how to balance the nervous systems, as well as protect our vibration, our level of consciousness, in a society that is trying to actually dumb us down. So we have had a lot of wiring in our nervous systems, and our psyche, that has actually lowered our capability as human beings on this planet at this time. And I feel what's happening is that there is a raise in vibration happening both on this planet and within humans and their consciousness as well. That has had a limit. The limit has now been reached, and we're now starting to emerge from that and go, hey, hold on, I think there's a different way than this. I think we can actually live life more fully than this, and more together than this as well. So I hear a lot of call for gathering together more, supporting each other more in community, and coming back to ways that are more natural to the way that we're wired, because we haven't actually evolved as much as we think we have. You know, our nervous systems, our brains, our physical bodies, are still at the same level as they were, you know, even probably 1,000 years ago, probably. But our lifestyle and technology has changed obviously very, very rapidly. And so we can only cope with a certain level of stimulation, shall we say, and our nervous systems don't know the difference between what's on a screen and what's real as well. So it's very important of what are we taking in, and allowing ourselves to know we actually have a choice. We have a conscious choice in every single moment of how we respond, what energies we're exposing ourselves to, what we're eating, what we're looking at on technology and social media. The fact that you've chosen to be here now with us as well, is another choice. And the more that we can find that, go, actually, whether it's a challenging situation or whether it's actually something that you're really enjoying, is that actually I have the choice in this. I can choose to engage. I can choose to just actually step back. I have the choice also to make this change. If this isn't working for me, I can make this change. And it's just coming into this change of vibration. So that's a little bit of what I was sharing as well with the sound healing, as it takes us into a different state, in terms of our brain waves and brain activity. So it takes us more closer into a theta type state, where we're actually more expanded and more aware, than whenever we're down. I believe it's in the beta state, where it's very much at the mind level, the chatter and the being in technology and all of those things. So it's a more limited frequency. So what that can really help us is not only in terms of settling the nervous system, but it's also unhelpful, or as well as a lot of us have decisions to make as well at the moment. So it's about really coming into a more balanced state of mind, a more balanced state of awareness, and more resilience, like I say, in the nervous system, more centeredness, more groundedness in the body, can allow us to make those decisions like that. So that we don't have to actually start going, oh, I have to think about that, and da 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 da. If you're thinking about a decision, that's definitely not the way to go. Because it's coming more into the greater intelligence of the heart space. But that is where we just have this inner sense of knowing. I'm sure many of you will have experienced many's a time when you had that knowing and you went against it and you went, oh, I did it again. And we all do it. It's human. But it's getting quiet enough to listen to those little inner knowings. Whether it's about that pizza that you shouldn't eat because you know you're going to feel really crap later, or whether it's to pick up that phone call or not in that moment. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's no, just following that inner guidance. And for me, that's that sense of liberation as well, is that we are sovereign beings, and that's what I feel is a big part of why we want to share this kind of work, and probably in a longer period of time, but also we're coming up soon to a retreat format, would be that helping people to remember that, and helping people to remember that we have a choice in any moment, um, even when there may be outside factors or the ego mind, or what we call in the Celtic tradition, we call it the earth mind, which I feel is a lot kinder, um, is that it's okay, thank you, it's all right, but actually I know a different way. I know a different way, and there's no confrontation in that. There's no drama. There's no story. It just, I just know. And if anyone asks you, how do you know? I don't know. I just know.
Mm. That's what it's all about. I've had that experience many times in my own life, and it's interesting how much resistance you can come up against from other people looking in when you make decisions from your own intuition and your own inner knowing. But if we don't live our lives in that way, what's the point? We're here to be the fullest expression of ourselves, and we're going to hear what that is, what all the steps are to that, only inside. It all comes from inside. So I'm kind of interested to hear from anyone. What did you feel during either the meditation that we did or the sound healing? What did you notice? Great, Robbie. Love to hear from you.
I can say only that it brought me really into that state of calm and relaxation. Yeah, and like stillness in the middle. And I've been feeling a lot release over the past few weeks and months during COVID. And I think hearing you and Fire talk about that and about it not being conflict, I think sometimes my brain still is like, there has to be a battle and it has to be a big drama. And I've been slowly learning that that's not the way. And so it's been great to like, yeah, to feel that and feel that that release can be gentle. And I guess my observation, or if either of you have any wisdom to share on that balance of a bit of control to begin with, in terms of reminding the body how to breathe, like when you're saying about doing the breath, you're kind of consciously sort of, not pushing, but letting it happen and sort of reminding the body how to breathe in a different way. And then moving from that into sort of letting go into it. I don't know if either of you could speak to that, because I think my brain is still sometimes like, I will take charge of letting go. And I'm sure we all know how that goes.
Yes, I would love to speak to that. So first of all, it's important to recognize that this belly breathing that we were practicing is new to most people. Even if you've been doing it for like a year or 2 years or something like that. It's very interesting because this is how animals breathe. They breathe in this belly breath sort of way. I think it's what comes natural to mammals, and it indicates a calm nervous system. So thanks so much for writing, Tosh. We'll get to you right after this question. And somewhere along the way, we get traumatized. I hate to say it, my son's only 4, and I already noticed that he is not breathing in this way, and I need to teach him, and I don't know what happened. It could happen, it could be a birth trauma, could be just some moment where we felt we needed to shut down emotionally for some reason. So in that moment, we stop doing the belly breath and we start breathing in this shallow kind of way where mostly the chest is going up and down. And so unfortunately, this type of breathing actually stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight, flight, or freeze part of your nervous system, rather than the parasympathetic, the part of your nervous system that is active when you're at rest and you feel a state of relaxation and calm. So most of us are walking around for our whole lives until someone comes along and teaches us to breathe this way, further getting ourselves into a fight or flight state within the nervous system. Yes, me too, totally. And it's like, why don't they teach us this in preschool? How can we go on through our whole lives doing this to ourselves? And so, of course, anything that comes from that place is going to be coming from a place of reactivity. It's like whatever happens in your life, you're going to be reactive. Whatever negative patterns you have within yourself, you're going to go into those negative patterns because your nervous system is in a place of fight or flight. So the belly breath brings the nervous system into that place of calm and relaxation. However, what you're doing here is you have a muscle in your solar plexus. It's called the diaphragm. You're using your diaphragm, this muscle, to breathe. And the diaphragm is really cool. It's kind of like a deflated balloon. And when you inhale, that's why your belly gets so big, because as you inhale, it's expanding like a balloon. And when you exhale, it shrinks down. So if we haven't breathed using the diaphragm much before, or it's just not a habit because we've spent 25 or 30 years breathing into our chest, it's going to be a little bit weak, possibly, or a better way to say it would be just not intelligent. It's kind of in the way of like any new physical activity you do. When you first get started with it, your body mind has to come together to figure out how to really get in and use that muscle. And so part of what's happening when you're learning to breathe in this way, and like you were talking about, Robbie, like getting your body to remember, is you're developing muscle memory around how to use your diaphragm. And that's why it takes quite a bit for it to come naturally, because you've got to practice it a lot of times, not as many times as you practice the other way, the chest breath, but still a lot of times. And so when I first started learning this, I would literally walk around. First of all, I would start to track, like, what are the sensations in my body that indicate I'm in a state of stress, like tight neck or shoulders, or having lots of thoughts, feeling anxious, like really being caught up in any emotional state, feeling it could be down, could be anxiety, could be overwhelm. And I really focus my intent on every time that happens, just bring my hand to my belly. There's something about, I want to lower it, but you can't quite see it. You know where it is. There's something about the physicality of actually putting your hand here and feeling, is my belly moving out and in, out and in, and what you do when you put your hand here is you feel most of the time, no, it's not. And as soon as you do, you just begin the belly breath, and maybe you take 5 breaths or 10 breaths or 5 minutes, depending on what's going on in the moment. But this is a tool that you can use in every part of your day. Like literally, I do this in the car, I do this in the supermarket, I do it when I'm washing the dishes. You do it throughout your life, and in that way you weave together this calm and peace of your nervous system throughout your day. So it's not just happening when you're sitting on your meditation seat or you're doing your movement practices or whatever your practices are, but it's actually throughout your day. I'm trying to think, was there another part of your question? Is that
That
helpful?
Yeah, that sounds great. And it's that kind of thing of like knowing bits before, and I've, done loads of work with fire tree as well and received those teachings, and then you always just like forget a little bit. Or I was just reflecting as you were talking, I think the mind still, it's almost like we've been conditioned that we can't believe it can be that easy to calm ourselves down. Like, yeah, it feels like it should be more complicated, but there are these simple things that really do make such a big difference.
Yeah. And then that just reminded me, like, a second little part I caught of your question about like letting go and feeling like you need to be in control of that. The part where you have control is your breath, and is these practices of calming your nervous system. And so you go ahead and do these practices, and then you let go. Like part of the space that you're in that actually cultivates that peace within your nervous system is surrender. It's this deep relaxation, like this trust in yourself and the divine, that as your nervous system calms down, it's naturally connected in that way. And as you are naturally connected within, like Fire Tree was talking about, this inner knowing that you have when your nervous system's calm, when you feel that connection, whatever letting go is meant to happen in that moment will happen. And it doesn't have to look any certain way. It could be just a deep breath you take and a sigh out. It could be a sound that you need to make. It could be like a shaking of your body. But it will arise naturally, whatever form it's meant to take. And I think it's helpful to let go of like the expectation that it needs to be like some big scream or like physical event or something, because some of the most profound, I can speak from personal experience, like some of the most profound and deepest releases I've had is just sitting on my seat and taking some deep breaths and like a tear rolling down my cheek. And that could be oftentimes more profound than anything that looks big on the outside.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. It's really important for so many people. Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Fire Tree?
Um, yeah, I was just feeling into that as well about because it is a big key at the moment, um, about the conflict. And from how I see it, is that the conflict in the outer, what's going on, like what I was saying a little bit about social media and what Robbie was saying a little bit as well, both out there, but also it's a projection. It's all a projection of the inner conflict. So it is that, mind and body, masculine and feminine traumas that we have experienced in life. Um, and again, that's part of the path, I feel, of that liberation, is that seeing that with a really as much compassion as we can for ourselves in that process, that it's okay. First of all, it's okay when we're not feeling okay. It's
Yes.
okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to feel rattled. It's okay to feel triggered by something someone has said or whatever it is. It's okay. And just embracing that and that loving embrace of that automatically also brings that softness in to the heart space, into the body, into the nervous system of a release, just like a child, when a child is coming, to a parent for comfort, that they just know that, with these tools and these practices, that you can actually hold yourself in it. And what Lauren has just shared is great, because like she said, it doesn't have to be a big thing. You could be sitting in a restaurant feeling really, really rattled, and you could just put your hand on your belly, and work with this. So it can be really, really subtle. And it's something that we have forgotten, is that often the subtle and the most simple is just what is needed. We are actually in an animal body, the anima, as we would call it in the Celtic consciousness, which is the feminine, and which is regardless of gender. The body is seen as the form is seen as feminine, and then the consciousness is the animus, the spirit. So at the moment in society, we have too much animus and not enough anima. So in order to balance that out, and to ease and come into harmony rather than conflict, is actually coming into the anima and giving the space for that little gut feeling that you've got, giving the space for the body to move, to shake, just like Lauren was saying as well. Shaking is really, really important. That's part of what I share an awful lot of, is shaking and making sound, and the breath, and really releasing the charge from the nervous system is really important, because that goes beyond story, it goes beyond language. It's something that's much more primal in nature, just like my dog sitting here beside me, and he just, gets on with it, gives himself a wee shake after he's chased a squirrel, and then that's him done. It's so simple, and we are still wired that way. We just forget. So it's remembering that, and remembering that within ourselves. I feel, in my experiences, is that having that more compassionate holding for others. So seeing that whenever they're going, they're right, they're wrong, blah, 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 because I'm not going into the stories, but you know what's going on, blah, 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 blah. It's trauma. It's actually, they are really reacting out of trauma, out of fear. And it may seem completely irrational, because we are actually very irrational beings. Because we are part animal. We may try and think that we're higher intelligence and all this sort of stuff, but we're really quite irrational, because one minute we'll say this, and then we'll completely contradict ourselves. And I have to say, my dog, horses, have taught me the most about this, in terms of the human behavior and human psyche, and of how we contradict ourselves all of the time. And the way to work with a horse, or the way to work with a dog in terms of training and things like that, is to be consistent. And working with other people and working with dog behavior and things like that has been also a real opening into that as well. It's actually usually the human that needs to find consistency. And that's why we need consistency with these practices for ourselves as well, going, oh, this is happening, right, okay, come back to this. Oh, this is, okay, come back to this. It's like I clicker trained my dog, it's like, can we clicker train ourselves to find the right tool at the right time? Find the breath, bring us back to the body, all of these things. It's like, honestly, I'm laughing, because that's also a good way of releasing as well. But also, it doesn't have to be so serious as well. Life is not that serious. In fact, it's probably a big cosmic joke. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. I might clicker train myself over winter. and poetry, yeah, I've been letting go of a lot of the drama of it, but I find it funny, because I'm a clown. That's what I want to do, is be a clown for people, and then I get so serious about it. So I guess the cosmic joke's on me.
Yeah. Why so serious?
Oh, that is funny. I can definitely relate to that, Robbie. Oh, there it is. Right. Right. I forgot that was you. I was wondering who is this picture of this person with the red clown nose on them.
Yeah, there you go.
That's perfect. Thank you for that laugh. That's great. I want to get to Tasha's question. Tosh said, I noticed how much I want to be in it. I could hear notifications and I wanted to be in that meditation world. Sounds like notifications on your phone. I resist being in, I think you meant I generally resist getting into meditation because my busy mind thinks it's going to be too hard. It's nice to do it in a group and benefit from the shared energy. Oh, thank you so much for sharing, Tosh. Yeah, the first thing I want to say is how important it is to put these things away. and and when it's your time, it's your time. These things are off. This is all about having really firm boundaries with yourself. And why do you have firm boundaries with yourself? Because you know how important it is for you to have a calm nervous system. Oh, I'm echoing a little. I don't know why. That's okay. For you to have a calm nervous system and take this time and space for yourself to go into the stillness, to go into the quiet, to connect deeply within. Like, you value that so much that whatever's happening in the earth world, is that how you called it, Fire Tree? The earth mind.
Earth mind.
Whatever's happening in the mundane world, I like to say as a mundane world or earth mind, is a part of your life, but it's just that. It's just a part of your life. And this time that you're taking is just for you. It's just for connection to spirit. It's just for calming your nervous system, for moving through being present and moving through what's happening inside you. So I basically need to change. Okay, that's great. So you're gonna change your setting. Tosh says she uses Insight Timer to meditate, so I always need internet. So basically I need to change my settings on notifications. Yeah, totally. So go ahead and do that. It's totally worth it. And about another part about what you said previously about resisting going into meditation because your busy mind thinks it's going to be too hard. That's so interesting. And I think you're speaking to what a lot of people experience with meditation, just like automatically assessing, this is going to be hard, I'm not going to be good at it, and just just skipping it completely. And I know you've heard me say this before, but I liken learning meditation to learning how to play a musical instrument. That for some reason in our culture, it's like a lot of people are left with this idea that you're just supposed to be able to get on an app and learn how to meditate. Can you get on an app and learn how to play an instrument? Well, kind of. But you're probably going to resist it because every time you pick up the instrument, you're going to go, this is taking forever. I really still suck. Just don't even want to do this. So like, learning to meditate is really learning a new language. It's really, really learning a new language of going inside, and it takes being taught actively by a teacher, not just a recording, and being in the group energy is really helpful. And then, doing that once a week or however often, and then going into your own practice and knowing that your practice is just that. It's called practice for a reason, because you're not meant to be great at it every time you sit down on your mat. Like, you might have one day where your thoughts are just racing and you're meditating for 10 minutes. And when the 10 minutes is up, you go, oh shit, I was thinking the entire time. oops. And then you do your dedication, and that was your practice for the day. And then you come on your mat the next day, and after 3 minutes of having thoughts, you catch yourself, and then you go into the meditation state, and like this. And it's not like learning it is not like this really uphill curve either. Like, I'll tell you, that I'm 17 years of practicing every single day. And I have some times where I just sit down and I go right in, and I have other things where things are like bubbling, other days where things are bubbling up to the surface, and I have to go back to that space between the breaths constantly and remind myself. So I hope that that helps for people who know that their mind is busy, and that this is a big challenge, practicing meditation. They're having a challenge with just getting seated and starting the practice. And yes, so Tosh says she's thinking, I'll do it later when I'll be more relaxed, and it doesn't happen because I get too tired. She says, I just need to do it no matter what. So yeah, having accountability is really helpful around that. Being in a group as well, so that you're getting that constant interaction on a weekly basis. And having a regular time, like every day, that you're going to sit. I find for me it's first thing in the morning, because if it's any other time of day, I'm likely to make an excuse, or something's going to come up on here that's more that seems more crucial in the moment. Or at night, then I'm likely to be too tired. So for me, morning works best, but you just got to check in with yourself and find when that time is.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to that as well. Of again, it really links into how we haven't evolved as much as we think we have. We're not designed to be on call all the time. That actually just keeps us in this fight or flight loop all the time. And I've actually started to say, like, I call a spade, I'm Irish, that's just what happens. This is our ball and chain in modern society. So the more that we can see technology is actually really useful. Like, we're using technology now in order to connect, and that is great. So it really does have a good purpose, but we have to have good, healthy boundaries around it. So like you say, Tasha, like, I've switched off, I don't have any notifications on my phone, like WhatsApp, or I don't have Facebook on my phone anymore. The only notifications I'll get if I get a text message or get a phone call, and that is if I don't have it switched on airplane mode, which is most from a certain time, usually at night, to a certain time in the morning, usually after I have done my practice as well. Like I say, right, okay, so it's like 10 o'clock in the morning, then I'll switch my phone on, because it's very, very easy, and I have done it many a time as well, where I've gone, I'll just check something before I meditate, and it's totally taken me out of the right state, because it takes us back to the beta state. But also my meditation teacher, Bergs, and many people that have gone on retreat with Bergs, they call it the Bergs effect, which is basically when they're ones that switch off their Wi-Fi at night, because it actually gives us that time of actually rest, because the technology is actually working at a frequency that is very similar to our unbalanced state in the nervous system and in the brain waves as well. So it's actually jangling. So you can get things like orgonite and blue shield and things that can help with neutralizing the radiation that's happening, that's creating that. So it's very important that we make sure that we have rest periods away from that, so that we can come back into balance again, because that actually is creating a lot of charge in the nervous system and a lot of busyness in the mind in itself, for a number of reasons that I could go into for many, many, many hours probably. But it really does actually shut down because we are electromagnetic fields, so the way that we actually interact with each other as humans, the way that we get a sense of how someone else is feeling is because our electromagnetic fields are linked in. And we're also tuned into electromagnetic field of the earth as well. So it really, really does pay well to look after our electromagnetic field in that way, look after our own rhythm in that way, and really, really, I feel it's quite radical. Actually, it's a little bit of activism in a way, of going, actually, I'm not on call all the time. You can get me at these times. And Lauren will know with me that the more that you honor that for yourself, the more that you actually shine that light for others that there's another way. Ah! And then it rolls out, so a trend starts. Lauren, you wanted to share something?
I was saying goodbye to Laura because she was signing off. she was saying speaking of screen time,
Yes.
she's getting off of her screen right now
Yeah.
to have screen free time. I know.
Yeah.
Certainly doing this in person will be really fun for a number of reasons. No, I think yes. Okay, so yeah, Laura said she felt de-stressed by this event. Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all really feeling that. I've actually felt like meditating almost the entire time we've been here.
Yeah.
And I saw it look like Robbie was meditating just now too.
And I think that could probably naturally lead us into talking about the retreat, because it is online and it is using technology. But again, there's ways of setting up the space, and there's ways of navigating an online retreat that it can work as deeply as an in-person retreat. And speaking of Berg's, for instance, that I was just speaking of, he's been teaching meditation for 20 years, and it's only this year, because of everything that has been going on, that he started to teach online for the first time. And he is actually continuing to offer retreats now on a fairly ongoing basis, because he has seen the depth and the breadth of how much it's been really, really helpful for people at this time. And another teacher of mine, Aisha, as well, offers online retreats, and I have attended many of those as well, and find them of great benefit, because I haven't had to pay for travel to go somewhere, I haven't had to pay for accommodation. I've been able to just do it in my own environment with my own food in my own way, and really, really reap the benefits as if I was there. And certainly a lot of the work that I've been sharing online has been similar, that once we come into this group field, this group sharing, there's a holding, there's a container in there, even when you're in your own space at home. And I'd like Lauren to speak a little bit about that, about, you know, I think that works from what Tasha was saying as well, in terms of the benefit of retreat, is like of really going deeper into these practices, so that they actually then become more of a habit as well. They kind of have more of a chance and more of a space to actually embed in. What would you like to say to that?
Well, I want to say first that Fire Tree and I were really clear that one of the greatest offerings that we can make right now to everyone going through this time of stress and emotional upheaval and decision making, and just embracing the inherent challenges of this time, is to give a retreat. And so we're going to be offering a 3-day retreat in the first weekend of October. Retreat has been so powerful that going into retreat has been so powerful for both of us. For me, I have been attending meditation retreats for like almost 20 years. At least a few times a year, often like a one-day retreat monthly. And this time is so important for going inside. In terms of the meditation itself, it's one of the greatest opportunities that I've had to deepen my practice, to get to a new level, and to access really deeply held emotions that are coming up, to move through very old patterns, traumas, because it takes the container of nothingness in the outside world. It really does. It really takes the container of turning everything off. Like, and yeah, Fire Tree was joking about how she's inaccessible a lot of times, when she is. But you know, most of the people who I attended retreat with wouldn't do this, but I always did. I would be completely gone, off of all electronics for the duration of the retreat, and oftentimes silent as well. And there is something spectacular that happens when you set up and move into that container for yourself, where you decide, like, I am turning everything off and I am giving myself the gift of internal connection. And this is all about internal connection and healing. It's not like the rest of your life where I'm just taking a morning to do an hour to do my practices, or I'm receiving a healing session today, but then you have to go into the rest of your life for the rest of the day. When you're in retreat, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything except you. It's about doing you and only you. And it's a gift that you give yourself. And it's one of the most profound experiences that you'll have. And once you do, if you haven't already, you'll want to do it more and more. So yes, for those reasons, Fire Tree and I felt really from deep within ourselves, and that intuition and knowing that people need a retreat right now. They need a container and a space to go inside, to go deeper into their practices, to, like Robbie was saying about anchoring the breath in his body, and really connecting to that. These are the things that happen in a meditation retreat, is because you're doing these practices so much, you get more anchored in them, and you understand them more deeply, you understand their effects more deeply, and then you're able to as well pull them out and use them in your daily life. Like, you're more likely to drop into a daily meditation practice after a retreat and just have it be in the flow, because you've gotten your nervous system so heavily connected to that place of stillness. And that's really what we get in retreat. As we get stiller and stiller and stiller, the mind becomes calmer and calmer, and it's expansive. It spreads, from one day to the next day to the last day. Whenever I finish retreat, I don't want to leave. I'm like, no, we got to stay in retreat, because I've felt this cumulative effect of day after day after day going deeper and becoming stiller. And whoo, does it feel good? It feels amazing, and I always just want to stay there. The hardest part of retreat is having to come out of retreat. So those are some of the gifts of retreat, and just wanted to introduce everyone to the concept of retreat if you haven't done it before, and what it can offer you.
Yeah, and I find as well it has helped me in terms of modeling those, finding those healthy boundaries for myself and then modeling them for others as well. Like people in my life are very, very used to me being unavailable because I'm either attending a retreat or I'm running a retreat. And during those times, I am not on the phone on technology at all, except unless I'm using the technology to offer the retreat. That's different. Um, but it's about really that internal connection, and what I really take from it as well, whether it's a retreat or whether it's personal practice, is that it's not only a benefit to myself, but the dedication, it's a benefit to all beings everywhere. So I really feel very passionate that this is the most sacred activism that we can do at this time as well, is not only to take care of ourselves, but knowing in the taking care of ourselves in this way, we are also benefiting others. So those that are directly around us, we're going to be a much easier human being to be around, let's face it, much more enjoyable, um, as well as in the collective, as well as in our families and things like that. And I always, always, always revel as well in the magic that happens too, with people that have maybe had relationships breaking down, or their mother doesn't speak to them, or so on and so on, that then all of a sudden the mother gets in touch the next day and things like that. These kind of things are miraculous and happen very, very regularly, but still never, ever, ever do I not feel like a joy and a surprise from that, of like, oh yes, that's it, because they're doing the inner work. So in order to create the change in this outside, it really, really is is vital for creating this wave of change within ourselves, our own lives, and within humanity. And that takes a lot of, yeah, rewiring in the nervous system and our mind's patterns, and coming into actually enjoying what it is to be in this life and in this human body as well. I feel like we actually have permission. We can give ourselves permission to do that. And that comes into being more quiet and coming into the more subtle, in order to really, express that yes from a really authentic place. Mm.
Yeah, it's getting off the roller coaster. or or like really, or just learning to ride the roller coaster from a place of joy and liberation and ease. Yeah, totally. And the retreat is that. The retreat is your experience of riding the roller coaster from this anchored, quiet, still, joyful, illuminated space, rather than the place of reactivity and overwhelming emotions that, like you were just saying, like really do inhibit your ability to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the liberation that you feel, that you can then take from retreat back into your life. And you've also made a really deep connection with these practices so that you can move into that state of liberation more fluidly when you leave retreat. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel it's definitely infectious as well, because others are like, huh, what are they doing differently? That they're facing the same challenges as I'm facing, but look, they've got a different cha-cha going on. And I feel like that is the key, more than what anyone can say or anyone can do. It's in the way of being that can only come through having that connection, that really deep connection within, both in retreat and in daily practice. So for me, it's as vital as breathing, really.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love what you said about doing these practices, not just for ourselves, but for our world right now, and just how much really we're facing as a planet Earth, and that this is the greatest form of activism that we can do, is to change ourselves, to liberate ourselves, to move this stuck energy, move this old stuff out, and then we connect to others in our world like a star constellation. It's like, what I do affects this star, affects that star, affects another star. And this is really the most profound way to make an impact. And I've seen it too, like what you just said about a mother calling. I've seen it too. I mean, I have now my dad and my stepdad are meditating every day. They were some of the last people that you would ever think would meditate, and it's completely changed their lives. Um, and yeah, and then it's like we change one person's life, and that person changes 100 people's lives. And in this way we can really do something about bringing more consciousness and light to our planet right now. It's really powerful.
Yeah. Aye. And as you're saying that as well about that, lighting up, like in my earth keeping work, I call it like lighting up the grid. So lighting up, the grid and the points in the planet that we are. There'll be like ley lines and key points there, just similar to that we have meridian lines, just and meridian points in the body. The earth has the same thing. And another layer of that also is that there's I get really fascinated by this, and I'm not going to go into it because it'd be here for hours. But if you look at a picture of the mycelium, which is from the fungi, from the mushrooms, the mycelium are all connected around the earth, and that's basically the Wi-Fi cable network around the whole world in the soil, and that's all connected. So that's like the communication highway for the forests, for the trees, for the whole earth. And then we've got our fascial network, which is our fascial system, which is the tissue that's just under the skin. And you can look up a picture of the fascia, and it looks exactly the same as a mycelium. Boom! And it's like we are so interwoven and interconnected within our body, and then connected in with the earth, and we're connected into these levels of consciousness that we do not possibly understand yet, which is just fascinating. And that's what I feel is like there's always a greater intelligence that we can tap into at any given moment, even if it is just that simple coming into meditation in the body, the fascial network, connecting that into the earth, into the mycelium, and all of a sudden, boom, connected.
And that's how we can be the greatest expression of ourselves, like the most joyful, the most pure, the most connected. Yeah. So it's so beautiful when you speak about it in those terms. How it really, the connection is on all levels. Yeah. So shall we tell people details about the retreat? I imagine everybody is dying to go on retreat right now. I mean, I just went on retreat during summer solstice, and then I'm already dying to go back on retreat. So the retreat is Friday, October 2nd through Sunday, October 4th. We've got about 6-7 hours of practices and time that we'll be sharing together during the day. We're going to be holding a very specific container for the retreat, like Fire Tree was talking about, because of us being all over the world and this being online. So we're making a lot of suggestions for people in the time that you do have off during retreat, what to do with that time, how to set yourself up in your own environment so you can fully go inside and immerse yourself in these practices and in the transmissions of the retreat. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll be also creating a very strong, energetic container based on Lauren and myself's experience of holding retreats in sacred space. So we'll be starting with an opening ceremony and we'll close with a closing ceremony as well. So there'll be a lot of ceremony and ritual and sound in there, as well as meditation and movement, and right down from very cosmic practices, as I would say, right down to very, very practical practices, and that will help because we will all have different ways in and different ways of navigating. So it's finding the tools and the practices that work best for you within that, which is why we're coming together, Lauren and myself, with that combination, and as well as that we actually have so much fun together. And I was saying earlier as well, we literally light up each other's worlds all the time.
Really on a regular basis. Almost daily.
Yeah. It's time to share it.
So love and liberation are indeed the foundation of the retreat, and there's pretty much no way you won't feel this and experience it within yourself. Yeah, you absolutely will. It's just contagious like that. And we're offering a really early bird special on the retreat, right, Fire Tree?
Yeah, so it's £108 for the super early bird until the 5th of September, which is a steal. I don't know what that is in dollars, Laura.
I know. I don't even know. Yeah, that is just such an incredible steal. But we both love the number 108, and we wanted to give people the opportunity to just lock it in at a really low price. But yeah, that's amazing. I mean, here there's not that much you can do for that much money, especially over 3 days. And then we have another price at by September 15th, and then just the regular price. That we'll send you all that information at a later time. We just wanted to share, and yeah, that's just for the next 5 days, right? The 108.
Yeah, until the 5th of September.
Until the 5th. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great.
And just wanted to say thank you very much as well, just for joining us here on this webinar. It's really, as I said, like, we dedicate this to all beings, so it's not just yourselves that we want to share this with. It's for the benefit of all. So even if it's only this window that we have shared together, then that's wonderful in itself. And if you do feel that this has connected something with you and you want to share that with others, then please do. We'd really appreciate it, because actually there's so much noise these days that's going on. It's hard to know how to cut through into really, really very direct practices and retreats and things like that. So really, word of mouth, I always feel is the strongest form of reaching people. So that's appreciated as well.
Yeah, and our greatest intent is to be of service. I think, yeah, I'm speaking for the both of us when I say we're here to be of service. You know, we've done these practices ourselves to be of service, not only for ourselves, but for all people. And we make these offerings to be of service to you guys, to anybody you know, or just to the universal. It is indeed an expression, profound expression of consciousness and light and upliftment that we're generating. So thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to meet you, new friends. I've just loved being in this space together, and I feel so much calmer and more anchored in myself from this shared space and the practices that we've done today. And I pretty much know you do too. So with that, namaste. The sacred in me, divine in me, sees and recognizes the divine in you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so welcome.